Hey everyone, we are the Three Princes and we go around looking for things to penetrate deeply.
Intellectual. Welcome to our show. It's going to be one of those days.
We are going. It's a Friday.
It's a Friday.
Oh, it's one of those. It was one of those weeks, Machang, where I wanted the week to end. Yeah. But it's going to be a good Friday because we have Suresh from Stigmata
On Good Friday.
on Good
Oh,
Friday.
is it Good Friday?
No, it's not. It's not. I'm just going with the flow here.
Very good, very good.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
So, for those of you who don't know, Suresh has his own podcast. Suresh?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
It's called S&M. It's not what you think. Okay, maybe it is. Maybe it is what you think.
How is it? How is that not what I think? when under what other circumstance does S and M come together?
Satires and melodies.
The fuck.
I stumped you there, right? No, but that's what it actually is. This one's called Satires and Melodies, and of course I used it because I wanted to go.
Sorry, what is satires and melodies? It sounds interesting. I don't know what melodies are.
Bad things.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
So it has a bit
Thank you.
malevolent and okay, fine.
No.
Malicious.
No.
Then
That has nothing. But that's okay.
Latin etymology.
Yes.
That's yeah.
So there are
Yeah.
roots, I guess. So the podcast is called S&M, and it's obviously plain words for this very reason. And I break the broadcast, as you get. That's this, okay? So it's
No, it
broken.
has nothing to do with this.
No, it has nothing to do with S&M. It's broken down into different topics and themes. I release a pod episode once every week. But I talk about Stigmata and our journey. I talk about music. I also deal with very...
insidious themes.
Not yet, but very serious topics.
Right.
I discuss everything from entrepreneurship and business to the pitfalls of organizations, advertising, marketing, globalization, internationalization. I talk...
lot of words.
I stray away from religion and politics because those are two things that I'm not very fond of. But other than that, I try to cover a lot of ground.
You're fond of globalization?
No. But I like talking about it.
Right.
There's a difference.
So
There's a difference.
amongst all those topics today, but what we wanted to get you and talk to you about was.
But you've not let me finish what the pod is about. But anyway, please continue. As you were, sir.
Cutting in.
Cutting.
No, so what we want you to talk about today specifically is marketing music.
Okay.
Okay. Because we know you are probably one of the biggest, musical exports out of Sri Lanka. Most likely one of the biggest. Yeah.
Novia.
Definitely one of the most consistent.
One of the most consistent.
Consistent. Okay.
Yeah.
I like
and,
that word.
And it's 20 years. I mean, this is a good place
Coming
for
on-
us to talk
coming-
about it
yeah.
because it's 20 years next year.
Next year. That's right.
It's 20 years next year. And you are heard across the world. And from a band that started from doing school gigs to
Rehearsing in bedrooms.
rehearsing in
in our
bedrooms,
homes.
doing school gigs to where you are today. Tell us that journey and tell us what you did along the way to get to where you are right now.
In a solely marketing perspective or a journey perspective, because those are two different things.
So we'll look at it from a marketing perspective because I think it's we are trying to make it good for people who are starting out, new brands that are starting out. So as much as possible, what we are looking for is teach people how you should actually do it because you work in very specific audiences
Markets also,
and
that's
very
true.
niches.
Niches, yeah. I think first it's important to understand the backdrop and the setting Before us, there was quite nothing like us. There was Rattlesnake and Venom at the time that we grew up when we were small that used to play hard rock, and it's that guy used to play and he's still doing it. No, it's cool. We're just having fun. Used to be
There's a packet of crisps.
yeah, crisp. Venom and Rattlesnake used to play hard rock and some heavy metal stuff. They used to
Local.
cover local based
Venom.
bands. Yeah, local Venom. There was a local Venom. Master Country Notion and Tilak Dias and Kirti Fernando and like all these guys. And they really showed us that you could play high quality, edgier music that isn't necessarily part of the mainstream.
Right.
But then it was Independence Square that we saw perform
Yeah, Independence Square, man.
in 99 at a Sun FM beach party.
Yes.
Where they performed alongside Bart and Santosh, Independence Square, a couple of guys. And I remember we were, when I say we, it was some of the guys of the band at the time, maybe some of our girlfriends. By maybe some of our girlfriends, I mean it's a bit, the memory is a bit dodgy. No, there were definitely girlfriends, as opposed to any other. Well, anyway, not that I'm judging, but there was a set of us, and remember, we actually jumped into that show. We didn't buy tickets because we were in school and we couldn't tell our homes we were going to go for a beach concert. So they had this takarang for some reason. The takarang sheds that they had put like these barricades on the beach road, Diseram road, that side. Samudamata, that side, passing the railway tracks. So these were obviously, since this being Sri Lanka, it wasn't constructed very well. So we found gaps in the takarang and we crept through and we ended up at the show and watched them. And Independence Square really inspired us because those guys came on stage and people were very hostile at that time because they just came and played original music. And we remember that was something that was unheard of because even the people who hated rock and roll then, which were a lot of people.
Still quite a bit of people.
No.
No. It has changed.
This is something else.
It has changed.
This is where they will
Maza,
throw
my
chairs,
parents-
stones, bottles, empty bottles. If you didn't play the cover songs, and we've experienced this too. So Independence Square come and they're playing originals. They don't give a shit. They're just playing their stuff. And there were people who appreciated it. But then there were a lot of us, the bunch of punks who were there like just headbanging, jumping up and down and rolling on the sea sand like we were having seizures. And then a whole lot of people were shouting and telling them to get off stage and all of that. And they just endured and they just kept doing what they did. And that inspired us. So you had Rattlesnake and Venom that inspired us for what we would say the quality of the music in terms of the level of professionalism that they possessed or harbored. And then there was Independence Square, who were also very good and tight and were
I love
coordinated as a band.
Oh, sorry, not Independence Square. Crep Cycle.
Yes, now you went somewhere else. No,
Yeah.
they are not there in this conversation. But sorry, Krebs, you're not. So Independence Square were very original.
Right.
And they played their own music and songs like Anger and Poison on a Tray. And from that first album, Bring Back the Sun, which came out later. Because Independence Square won the first ever TNL on stage in 1999.
Yeah.
And we were there.
That was
We entered for it and didn't get selected. We'll come to that later. We were called Bleeding Cross back then in 99. So that's what we were there as Bleeding Cross and we started off. And that was the first time we got inspired where we understood. It's funny really how things fall into place. Because when we started off, we started rehearsing in a church. The Methodist Church of Mount Lavinia. Props to you. Because none of us owned musical equipment at the time and there were very few places to buy musical equipment. There were no rehearsal studios, say for one or two. And back then it was like $150 or $200 an hour, which is a lot for a bunch of kids in school. Because our pocket money in school used to be $30 or $50 that we could have breakfast, you remember? We could have egg roti, 2-3 egg roti. We could have kiri packet, Milo, and then also for the interval with $30 or $40. So we used to collect all of that and practice in those
yeah.
places. Yeah. But there were no places for any of that. So it was really tough when you started off as a bunch of like young dudes in school following a subversive culture, a part of a lifestyle and a supposed movement, because back then there's a massive negative stigma associated with heavy metal music and hard rock.
But in 2000, like 1999 to 2000, so I was actually having a chat with Dual about this when we were coming back. Like, as the Backstreet Boys like kill themselves.
I almost choked on that. I was wondering where this is going. The moment he said Backstreet, I was thinking, surely he's not going to say boys. No, he said boys after Backstreet. Where is this going?
So Backstreet Boys killed themselves. There was a huge movement towards alternate rock, and at one point, all of a sudden, it started. It was.
Oh man, we hated alternative rock.
Yeah.
We still do. We were never into that scene.
But rock became
Because we see much of
okay, fine, okay.
rock and metal was always a counterculture. It was the antithesis to the norm, the convention and traditional form. So grunge was there. There were good and bad in grunge. I'd say that. I'm a dude personally. I have no qualms or doubts. There are a lot of metal guys who'd say that grunge had conflict and issues with heavy metal. But for me, Soundgarden, some of Smashing Pumpkins, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots came much later. Alice in Chains, those guys had a lot. Nirvana, no. But from grunge, what happened is they took the sentiments of grunge, simplified it, and basically bunch of people who, I'm gonna ruffle feathers here, okay? I'm just saying. A bunch of people who should ideally have played in boy bands or girl bands decided to call themselves alternative rock. In the words of, I think, Andrew Bisekara, formerly of Stigmata, and he said this best: there is no alternative to rock. It's either rock or nothing else.
Yeah.
You don't need an alternative for rock. If you need an alternative for rock and metal, it ceases to be that very thing that it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah, okay, fine. Coming back to this thing. So, when you started out, what was the approach? What was the intention? What was the approach?
Intention was to create original music, innovative music, have fun doing it, and to basically piss a lot of people off. And for us, I mean, think about it. We composed Hollow Dreams when we were 16 years old.
Right.
And Hollow Dreams was a stepping stone for so much in this country. But you have to understand the journey that led to Hollow Dreams, which was a lot of songs, which was a lot of music, which was a journey in itself to lead up to that point. So we've had our points of writing cheesy stuff, figuring out how to be a lyricist, how to put vocal melodies, hell, how to sing. Let alone growl, scream, and do unconventional vocals. So,
And you do the whole gamut of the range.
So, interesting question, statistical question. How many songs would you have written in the last 20 years?
oh,
How many have you published? How many have you?
Also, we've released 4 albums. So we have
Just tell me how many songs that is.
we're probably about 40 songs there, and then we have single releases that are not a part of the album, and then we have bonus material that we released on the Hollow Dreams 10th anniversary, where we actually we're the first band to pay homage to Independence Square, and we covered Anger.
Okay.
So we did that, and we recorded a song called Children of the Lion that we did for the Sri Lankan cricket team that the board didn't approve. We wonder why.
So how many songs in total?
Released songs, published, recorded, maybe 50 songs.
How many did you produce? How many did you compose? How many did you write?
Oh, me?
Say the band collectively together.
How many songs were composed in total across 20 years?
Oh, wow. There are songs that we've composed and been very confident about that we played live to audiences and they've loved it. And after the show, people have come and said, Machan, that reminded me a bit of so-and-so. And Andrew Tenney look at each other. Make a khala now. That's actually happened many times. There are songs that we've recorded for albums. There are still recordings that we've not featured on the albums. And we've kept them for a later date, and that's never happened. Like, for example, on Hollow Dreams, there were 2 songs, one called My Deepest Thoughts and another called Sweet Deception. And those never made it to the final cut, the album, for lots of different reasons. Not that they were necessarily bad songs or poor songs. Oh, another one was Redemption. It's ironically Redemption that ended up becoming Extinction.
Oh, okay.
The irony in that.
So anyway, coming back, how many songs? Can you give a number?
Wow. 75, 80 songs maybe.
75.
I'd say realistically.
Right.
Probably even more if you consider how many stuff we've composed through time and
Yeah, so
scrap.
the songwriting processes, you have some riffs that you don't ever use.
Yes,
Like that
yes.
sort of stuff happens too, right?
That sort of stuff happens too. That's true.
How did you get into, because you are big, say, in Japan and out of the country,
Australia.
Australia, New Zealand, Maldives, India, Malaysia, Bangladesh. Because Bangladesh, when we played the Dhaka Army Stadium, we had 40,000 people. That's the biggest audience we played for. And if you never played for 40,000 people before, you piss yourself.
Right.
Because the very air you breathe is different. Trust me, it is. You're breathing sweat and energy and life, and it's not what you think. You think you just go and you see a massive amount of heads and you can still do what you do. It's not like that at all. Like, because it doesn't hit you when you play the first 2 songs. You just go there and you're playing and you're absorbing the energy. And then you stop for a moment to take a breath of air and you look and you're like, sweet Moses. Because it's going up.
No. So how did you get, so like going band out of Sri Lanka, how did you start going in? What did you do to get there?
Yeah, so
What did you do to earn the audiences that you earned across all of these countries?
Wow, okay. So before we go there, you have to go to how we earn the audiences here locally. Especially in a country that did not appreciate or accept originality. People who went to nightclubs, like you, and just wanted to party and have a good time, and they didn't care about some band that came with a bunch of teenagers who were jumping up and down, rolling on the floor like that, seizures, and like, what the hell is this? And what are these songs? We've never heard of it before.
Why is everyone screaming?
But see, what we did was, we knew we were bad and we were pretty shit, and we knew we needed to improve. I'm not gonna detest that. We understand that, because the more you improve and you look back, you understand where you were and how you started, your humble beginnings, and then how you needed to improve in order to get somewhere. So
Attitude.
and
That is reflective of the music as well. No, that attitude is there.
Yeah.
And so we started playing anywhere where we could. In the start, back then, we had to do that. You don't have to do that anymore, because there's an infrastructure now. There's a payment scheme. There's scales of economy now in place.
I'm gonna stop him there, because I want to tell him, you were actually, I will tell this honestly, because I thought when I first saw them, and I saw them when they performed their first sets of gigs in 2000 onwards, right? I honestly thought you were bad. Honestly bad.
It's fine, man. Between you and me, so did we.
But now, every time I go to one of their gigs,
Which is never.
No, Machang, whenever you play,
Sorry, I had to do that.
No, I haven't been.
He should have come for the Pulse show. That's the show he should have come for. That was a good one.
I've come for a show about a year ago. Last time I came and watched you about a year ago. But I was actually talking to my brother and saying the quality of music has significantly improved. It's beautifully balanced. You can hear him. The music sounds full and nice.
Oh, the
clear.
beautifully balanced sounds probably took a while, but props to Naushan for that.
One of the many people. There are more than what it used to be. Yeah.
But Naushan is really.
Yeah. So earning audiences in Sri Lanka.
Yeah. So there was no strategy or there was no methodology to doing this.
Yeah.
We just rehearsed and we wanted to play as many shows as possible. We had no concept or ideology of image, identity, how to have a band profile. What was that back then? No. I mean, the computers we had were like 386s and 486s, where we were playing like versions of like Grand
They wouldn't
Prix.
even know what 386 or 486
And the
is.
first, you don't?
No.
what? And like the first prince of Persia, tick, 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 tick. Wow, dangerous Dave, stuff like that. So anyway, Doom.
Okay, I know those three.
Yeah, so 386 and 486 Puta was before the whole Pentium revolution. So that
So
meant
then I probably
the
used
startup
it. Yeah.
until the password, we could have this entire interview till that loads up.
Sure.
And back then we thought that was fast.
Yeah.
How things have changed.
So, yeah.
there was no way to assess or know. It was a complete DIY thing, and we learned along the way. We learned from a lot of our own mistakes, trial and error. We learned from other people the way we could. Other bands, more successful bands, overseas, over here. More overseas bands than local bands, to be honest. And what we thought is we'll start playing shows where every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we got gigs to play in clubs.
Okay.
Colombo mainly. I mean, back then, Cyclone. It wasn't Clancy's. Back then, Blizz, which later became The Bed on Park Road, if you remember. Little Hut or The Hut, Mount Lavinia Hotel.
Yeah.
My kind of place when it first started at the Taj. Legends nightclub, which was at Majestic City, right on top, I remember. There was Blue Leopard back then, and then there was Blue Elephant later, and there was Cascades, and we never played in Cascades or Blue Elephant. That was not our scene.
The only club I have been to out of that lot is Cascades, I think.
Really?
No, wait, I have been to Cascades. Sorry, what am I saying?
So we started playing in all those places.
Right.
And the criteria back then to play, you have to understand, was they didn't care about a band having opening acts. That was unheard of. What happened was if people go... You all remember the Wildfire Nights on a Tuesday and Thursday?
Yeah, at Clancy's, yeah.
Clancy's. Yeah. So people religiously used to go and want to be there for the entire scale of the night. There was no concept back then of moving from venue to party. Meaning, let's first go to Silk, let's then go somewhere else, then end up at R&B at 2 in the morning, which is not the scene. That was not the scene. You go somewhere, bunch of you get drunk, you spend the whole night there, you listen to the DJ of the band, etc. So, as a band, we had to start at about 8:30 or 9 in the night, and we had to stop at about 12:30 or 1 in the morning. And we had to, whether we liked it or not, had a repertoire of about 40 songs. Which is not a fucking joke when you think about it.
Right.
Because out of those 40 songs, obviously a great many of those are cover music. And that also honed our chops. Let me be fair. Because when you cover The Doors, Disturbed, when you cover Live, Creed, and we're the first ones, I think, to play Metallica properly here. We're the first ones to play Arch Enemy, Iced Earth, first ones to play the kind of Iron Maiden stuff that
What
we
did you
did,
go
Judas
from
Priest.
Iced
Iced Earth, we did Violet.
Oh, wow.
And we did I Will Die For You.
Okay.
And we always jammed Question of Heaven, but we never ended up playing it live.
Right.
Because we couldn't find a female collaborator at the time. Back then, finding male heavy metal vocalists was an issue. Finding a female, we would have had to have a lottery.
Yeah.
So we played every Friday, Saturday, Sunday when we could. Sunday sometimes are off. We rehearsed religiously, and you all should understand how rehearsals worked is. If the 5 guys were in Mount Lavinia, how it happened was that in one guy's house we would rehearse maximum 2 days. They would call the cops, move to the other guy's house, rehearse 2 days, cops, and that. So we started rehearsing in this church, like I said, the Methodist church in Mount Lavinia, because they had the equipment there for praise and worship and all of that. And so we used to go and we learned stuff like Living on a Prayer, Knocking on Heaven's Door and stuff like that right in the start.
Right.
Because when the priest comes and he's like, what are you boys, what are you guys doing? This is religious music. It's Blowing in the Wind, Bob Dylan. It's Knocking on Heaven's Door. It's Living on a Prayer, Bon Jovi. Look at these lyrics. But we did it. So we played these shows. And interestingly enough, after about 1 or 2 years, people turned up for concerts, and instead of wanting to hear cover music, they started asking for us to play the originals. Because out of those 40 songs, we very sneakily, insidiously plugged our own music in between. And there's nothing the club owners could say because people were still enjoying it.
Yeah.
And after about 2 years, they were like, to hell with all this cover version that you're doing. We want to hear Thicker Than Blood. We want to hear The Dying Winter Sleeps. We want to hear voices, inspired. And we were like, wow, this is taking a turn, isn't it? Who thought that would happen?
At which point in...
This would have been 2001.
Okay.
And when this started happening, media got interested. Media that didn't touch us with a barge pole before because we called ourselves a heavy metal band. And there are media, print publication, electronic media who actually told us, we'll give you publicity if you call yourselves an alternative rock band.
Seriously?
And I said, why?
How dumb is that?
And no, they're like,
Why is that?
that's the trend. Heavy metal is evil. It's considered to be satanic. And alternative rock is the thing.
Seriously?
Call yourself that and we have a deal. And from right then, we made a reputation of being obstinate, cocky assholes. We said, we don't want your interview. They're like, you come to us for an interview and you're saying you don't want our interview. We're like, yeah, that sounds about right. They're like, why? We are not an alternative rock band. Why do you want to say something that we're not?
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say I can go to my grave with this. Tenny, Andrew and I, the band that started, we started as heavy metal. We're going to die as fucking heavy metal. We don't care about alternative rock or jazz or spaz or jazz or anything.
Yes.
So we started, we played shows, Machan. I know I can ramble on. This will go on for a week, this pod episode. So we started playing gigs. People started asking for our own music. And then from that point onwards, we started getting bigger shows, playing for bigger audiences. We got a lot of publicity and stuff. And later on, we started to examine ourselves thinking, Machan, මේ සරප්පොයි ජීන්සුයි නිකම් මේ කැමති ඒවා ඇඳලා ප්ලේ කරන්න බෑ නේද දැන්. They're like, that's true. මොකද්ද බං අදින්නේ?
So, translation for that is, if we wear slippers and jeans, it's not going to really work out.
Not when you play live.
Not when you play live. What do we wear?
Because there were no places to get heavy metal t-shirts.
Small break.
Yeah. So let's. How long do we have? 1 minute.
Right. So we reevaluated everything. It didn't come immediately. But then with kind of a DIY ethic and experience, we decided, okay, if we are going to push shows, maybe we should have something to tell people that we are playing a show. More than a paper article. Maybe something scribbled. They call it a poster, I hear. Maybe have a band logo. And we used to draw that shit. Yep. When we used to record songs and give singles to radio stations, and TNL was the first to accept and take our music in. We had a guy, and Shamir Hussain, and he was the first guy.
We need to stop because okay, guys, we have to run off. Small break. We come back. So we were. What is the basic marketing ploy or marketing action?
Yeah, so there was nothing called a marketing ploy back in the day. We just went with it, and we figured stuff out. And maybe around 2000, late 2002, 2003, thing called Rock Company started, where a bunch of guys from the 70s rock scene, Ajit, Rohan, Senaka Pereira, and a couple of their peers. They played in a band called Sage Merlin in the 70s, and this is very interesting because they were one of the few bands in the 70s to actually play originals with Coffin Nails, Graveyard, Unwanted Generation, Cancer, who came later on, all those guys. And these guys saw potential in us, in what we were doing, and they wanted to start a thing called Rock Company and start a thing called the Rock Saturdays and the Rock Sundays simultaneously sometimes. And they did a lot. They organized a lot of great shows for about 4 years. They released compilations with a lot of different bands. And I do believe still firmly, because of Rock Company, that at least at the time it submerged or merged and intertwined a lot of us artists and bands of an underground nature back then. But the one thing significant I have to say, this is very important. So though I give props to Independence Square, like you mentioned, Krebs Cycle was another band that was there. They did not have any direct inspiration or influence on Stigmata at all. But we respect them at the time for being there and doing what they did. And then a short time later, there was Paranoid Earthling from Candy.
They brought in a little bit more audience into that scene.
They did.
I honestly believe that they did.
I think they did, because what they did was they brought all the party goers who were tone deaf and couldn't tell a tablespoon from a dildo. But I didn't want to point, but thanks. Yeah. But no. It was important what they did. I'm not saying they're necessarily bad. They're very talented. They're good at what they did, and I understand. It's important to have people who appease different markets and different target groups. So they did that. Independence Square had their own following. We had our own following. Paranoid Earthling from Candy was really fresh, really new what they did. They drew a new following.
That's another brand that has gone from strength to strength, I think.
It has gone from strength to strength. And maybe after we got introduced to our company, because these are all advertising guys and marketing guys, we understood after that a little bit more with their guidance and with their support also, that it was important for us to not play shows looking like we just woken up and come from our bedrooms. People are paying money. They're coming for a show. They're coming to see a spectacle, an extravaganza. And this is fair enough. And we could relate to that. Because never did we see any of the bands that we were inspired by, Pantera, Skid Row, Iron Maiden or Metallica, getting on stage in shorts and bedroom slippers and
Shorts, but
Phil does that.
no macam, but even that look worked. It was a corresponded and coordinated look. In the thrash scene, they did wear shorts, true. Socks, shoes, proper
Camo shorts,
but camo shorts or whatever they wore. Sepultura maybe introduced that from third world country, first band, Brazil. But I think that was all coordinated well. It's not a scenario where you have one guy wearing camo shorts, one guy wearing slacks like he's from a wedding, another guy wearing jeans, another bugger wearing pajamas.
Sure.
No one wore pajamas at shows. I just use that as an example. That would have really been bad. And been the laughing stock to this day.
But that's the thing about metal, right? It's
You can wear what you want and you can exclusively make it sell.
but it's also very theatrical.
True.
It's far more theatrical than a lot of live
Machang,
music.
it is. Metal is theatre. And that was one of the things. I mean, you watch an Iron Maiden concert or you see Alice Cooper or Kiss. Listen, heavy metal and rock and roll has over 200 genres today. And people laugh thinking, how many genres could you have of that? A lot, motherfuckers. A lot.
Technical, brutal grind.
Machang. Thrash, speed, psychedelic, be it rock or metal, progressive, death metal. We're talking about like astral metal. We're talking about math metal, black metal, dark metal. And
there's something called math metal.
oh yeah, it's amazing.
What is
it's
math metal?
amazing.
God is an Astronaut is one of these bands.
Dillinger Escape Plan is another good example. And Tool to a degree, yeah.
To a degree,
Yeah.
They use the Fibonacci sequence.
The Fibonacci sequence, and there are bands who use proper math sequencing for the musical arrangements, macha. The rhythm and the grooves and the phrasings and that.
I actually never knew that. I should listen to one of these bands.
Yeah, it's very
Come watch Stigmata. It's a good band, local band, not Fibonacci sequence, but yeah, there's quite a bit of math in it. Sorry, I had to do that. This is the cockiness unraveling now.
That's okay.
So okay, how do you do marketing for audience base that is
Great question.
essentially
So there was no
ambient?
marketing back then. It was just Machan.
No, later on. No, you when you figure out, okay, we have to market in some way.
Well, we understood that we needed somewhat of a guideline to present to sponsors, internal, external stakeholders, media partners, etc.
Right.
So we needed to have some kind of a bio or a profile
Right.
that we worked on, like I said, through the help of the rock company guys, because they're in advertising and marketing agencies.
Yeah.
And we figured that out, and we figured a way to have proper band shoot, proper identity, image, all of that. And not just us, they helped.
Everyone.
And let me name drop here. Whirlwind, Paranoid Earthling, Soul Skinner, Cold Fusion, High Octane, Independence Square, Crab Cycle were more mature bands at the time, so they had an understanding and a grasping of that. I have to be Ezra, so many bands. And so we worked on it, and that is why Stigmata, every era with every album cycle, because our themes and concepts are different, we've always presented ourselves and marketed ourselves with a different image. So back then it was more of symbolic essence and value, of people needing to kind of be able to integrate the musical value and the thematic and conceptual value with the identity and the image we were presenting at the time. So there was no choice really. It's like, okay, Hollow Dreams, they look like rejects from the Matrix movie that didn't make the final cut, but they are dressed in the same way, full leather draped, and people are going, you can do that in a tropical country, wear leather? The amount of interviews we've had, guys, where people have come and said, and this is the best part, sophisticated, high-end interview, they're coming, and what they say, aren't you feeling hot in that thing? That was the best thing ever. We're like, you have no idea. But it works. Sri Lanka Serpentine, drop the leather, camo. We're the first band to wear camo, metal chains and key tags connecting the wallet to the pockets or whatever, and then skinnies or metal t-shirts and that kind of thing. Psalms of Conscious Martyrdom, we changed the image to a more death, control denied, Chakshal Dina inspired thing. Be comfortable with yourselves, who you are, this is what we are, deal with it, go die if you don't. Which are just jeans, leather shoes, long sleeve shirts, rolled up, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tap was different, where we brought up the S&M masks and the masquerade masks from the Renaissance and did a very different thing.
Yeah.
So now this new cycle is a different look altogether.
Sure. Okay.
So that's something that became conscious or consensus in time. Initially, it wasn't planned that way, but later we realized it's important to reinvent yourselves, reanimate yourselves, because the musical blueprint is the same. It's still heavy metal, but musically we've always expanded, explored. I still like to think we're the only originals playing metal band in the country that's incorporated Latin rhythms, jazz, baila, properly. Not just baila, time signatures and arrangements and rhythms,
Actually,
but incorporating yakbera, gatabera, tammetang, all that stuff in our recordings and music.
And like Rabam Pada for that.
Raban Pada, all that stuff, right? And also fusion, funk, so many styles. I mean, for hell's sake, Tennyson Napoleon one day came and he fixed apart a spiral coma. I don't think people know to this day. And he goes, guys, let's do this. And we're like, what is this? It's an Algerian scale. We're like, oh.
how long do you take?
What now? Algerian scale. We're like, okay, so this is out of the whole Phrygian, Mixolydian, and Aeolian, Lydian, the modes. And but you see, that's the point. We never limited ourselves, whether it's Chinese or Japanese inspired stuff, whatever we're inspired by, we bring it not like a kotta roti. That's important to mention. Anyone can three of us can form a band and think, today let's incorporate some African. Oh, tomorrow let's incorporate some Belgian. Whatever that is. But we do that. When you do shit for the sake of doing it, it doesn't work.
Right.
So
how long do you take between a cycle?
it's a great question. Clever you. Stigmata can take anything between 3 years and 300 years between an album cycle. So we take a long time.
So 4 years.
Yeah, so 4 albums
four
in
albums,
19 years.
19 years.
It's not bad. It's not bad. If you take a band like Tool,
That's the far end of
Yeah. But in this time and age, it makes sense to
Dinesh, you had some interesting questions. Like
release material faster.
Yeah.
And he cut me short again, but that's okay. Let's just go with the
Okay,
flow.
so how do you approach marketing for people who are anti-establishment?
It's very simple. They don't need to know whether it's establishment or anti-establishment. When you present something to them that resonates with people, connects with people, and that's the most important thing. What is the most important thing? Whether you're a graphic designer, creative writer, conceptualizer, or anything, a marketer, the most important thing is that you create something that has a trigger, that has an effect, that can cause a butterfly effect.
Right.
That's our point.
Shameless
It's chaos
marketing,
theory.
yeah.
It's ripple effect.
Yep.
You show something, and here's the thing: people misunderstand. It's not about showing blood and bones and guts and shocking people to the point where they want to throw up or have nightmares. It's showing something that is thought-provoking, that induces deeper thought and thinking. And that is important. And that's something we've always done with our artwork, with our concepts, with the music, and even the songwriting. Let me tell you, and I'm proud of this, Stigmata has never written or composed the same song twice. Not musically, not with the same theme.
Right. No, so that's the next question actually. So you spoke about it like a little bit ago, where you said every album has a theme that is so you build everything around it, the sound, how you dress,
The marketing even,
marketing.
without knowing it even,
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah, so you build it. So you're a band that roughly reinvents yourself every 5 years or so, with every album that comes out.
Yeah.
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 Okay. So the question is, what is consistent? Because brands are built on consistency.
True. The consistency is and the beauty of this is the music and the live performance. They know that every Stigmata show they come for, despite a lineup change or whatever happens, they might sure say, we saw them back in 2007 and we orgasmed in our pants. Or there'll be people who say, we saw them back, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, there's no one who comes for a Stigmata show and leaves thinking, that was shit. I don't know why I spent money going for that. That's the point.
That's where the consistency.
That is where the consistency is. Right. They know that whether it's live or a studio recording, sure, people will say, we prefer if the guitar sounded like this, the drum sounded like Chris Adler's, or the drums sound. That's a subjective opinion. When you release a body of work, a labor of love, you capture, embody, embosom what you feel is capturing the memories and the emotions and the moments of that time. So as an artist, none of us would go up to Leonardo da Vinci or Raphael or Michelangelo and say, Sistine Chapel එකේ පොඩ්ඩක් නිල් අඩුයි නේද? You get what I mean? Or like, those brush strokes look a little bit diagonal. Maybe go with the up and down. It doesn't matter. Scientifically, you can use algorithms and find out how people could have done things better or worse. But when it comes to the human element, and that is the key thing, at the end of the day, we are not composing art for robots, for machines. We're composing stuff for other human beings who've had their own experiences, their own life journeys and stories. So it has to be things that they can relate to.
Right.
Yeah.
So as long as we're doing that and they can connect to it, we're doing something right.
Again, the next question is like, okay, fine. That is the kind of audience that, and you design music for that.
Okay.
As a result, you get like tremendous, like the heavy users in a marketing term, the heavy users of metal music are really, really heavy. So I'm a very light user.
Yeah, there's very few light users.
They are a very passionate bunch. How do you deal with that? Say if you want to change, shift.
Oh no, bro. That's one of the things that's made us very unpopular. Because to this day we hear it. And this is something even Diresh would attest to. When we did Hollow Dreams, we had a great formula. We released the first heavy metal album in the country. Because we didn't know how it would work, we printed just 600 CDs and we had it at the CD launch. I'm not joking. Those 600 CDs sold in half an hour. My kind of place was full. And the guys handling the CD sales and all of the venue came and said, we're out of CDs. And we laughed and we said, what do you mean? There are more in the vehicles, in boxes. We're out of CDs. CDs have gone. We're like, isn't that a good thing? Shouldn't we be shouting, guys? Right? But people expected with complacency to hear Andhura Part 2, a Voices Part 2, Thicker Than Blood Part 2, an Extinction Part 2, and we didn't do that. Silent Chaos Serpentine was a different beast, a different animal, and that captured the essence of who we were at that time and what we were going through. Tenny and I had lost our homes. We were on the street for a while. This is true story. We were taken in by Charlie and Charlie's mum, a friend of ours, Charlie, Sanjeev Karunaratne, Naina Salons, her youngest son. And he gave us shelter and a home to live in for a while. And after that, we moved into a studio that was a rock company studio for bands to rehearse. And the agreement was that we live there, we pay rent, utilities, and we can kind of co-manage the place. So it's not been easy. So each of those journeys and pitfalls of what we've lost and what we've had, hey man, I mean, I'm here, I'm talking like a bloody Chandiya. I know what it is to go for 2-3 days without eating. A lot of people don't.
No.
I know what it is to survive just eating bread, even stale bread and butter, Tenny and I. We lived on a mattress for 3 years of our life, a mattress that 20-30 other bands came and partied on. Their cum was there. Their food remains were there. Particles of their clothing were there. All of that was there. We lived, we slept on that shit. And we told ourselves we'll never live like that again. That was the time the Silent Chaos Serpentine came out. So that was a very angry record. That was a record that needed to represent not just the times, but what we were going on. Psalms of Conscious Martyrdom, but it's a different record. It was a different kind of pain, different kind of suffering. Oh my God, the shit we went through for that. So we can't go into all of that. But what I'm trying to say is, a life journey and a story has to have chapters, like a book. That's how I see Stigmata's journey. That's how I see your journey, each of our journeys. We are all writing our own story. It can be 1 or 2 books, it can be 3 or 10 books, or it can be 1 book with many chapters etched. But we are all writing our stories. So I'm a guy that's grown up and learned that there's nothing called a good experience and a bad experience. What we call right and wrong, good and bad, it's subjective perception. Sure, rape is bad. To steal is bad. To go and set fire to someone who you don't like, their house, and kill people is bad. We understand. Those are clear cut. But what I mean is, leaving all those things aside, we have a marginal line of how we understand what should be and what should not. Right? And we need to kind of practice that. So, as a band, our experiences shaped our sound. Our experiences shaped our image. Our experiences shaped the story that we were talking about. So that's why, to answer your question, every album is different. This thing is different thematically. And naturally, our marketing approach also changed accordingly with that particular time period and the musical environment and the musical climate and the conditions that we were in at that time.
Right.
How much do you think about your audiences
When you're composing.
I'll be very quick with that. A lot and not at all.
That's not
Helpful at all.
helpful at all.
No, it's the truth.
No, so say Suresh, today say a bunch of boys or girls or boys and girls.
If that's the flavor that so you chose.
Oh, yeah. Right. No, so if they want to start up, how would you tell them to approach this? What would you tell them?
My case study for that, and that's a great question, and that's something I'm using for my thesis too, my dissertation, different story, but sorry I brought that up, is a certain band called Man Till God, a band led by a certain guy called Vimukti Karunaratna and a guy called Rakit Abberatna, and that is where these guys started a band. I know they wanted to make and create music their entire life. There are people who believed in them, people who didn't. It felt like a far-fetched fucking dream and a fallacy and a fantasy. They did it. They made it happen. And I've been there part and parcel from the inception, from the get-go, from the grassroots level up to now. And I'm privileged and pleasure to have been there. And why I'm saying this is not to just plug this
Band, but
motherfucker. But it's just because they took their time. They took 2 years to rehearse, figure out their sound. That's something we never did. We didn't have the
luxury of doing
No, forget that, Vilu. That's all like old man talk. We didn't have the luxury. But the point is, they had the virtue and the understanding, and they comprehended that you need to take time until you're ready with a brand. Don't unleash that brand. Don't unravel that brand. And that is a very valuable thing and a lesson to learn. Those lessons were not even lessons. Those were not fortified questions back when we started. So to be fair, we didn't know. We were just going with the motion. You start a band, you play. You play a bad show, people say you suck. You play another show, they say you suck more. You play another show, they say, hey, you suck less. Guys. Maybe there's hope for you. And you play, you're like, hard to say, but maybe you all don't suck at all. but that's how it happened. But these guys took their time, they molded their sound, they crafted their image, they worked on it, then played their first show. I think that's how it should be. And I think for new bands, have confidence, have faith, because you have so many venues now. You have ample opportunities to create brand awareness and brand value and brand equity for yourself, especially through the digital footprint and digital media. You can be on Facebook, you can be on Instagram. You're living in an age where you can have videos on YouTube and you can gather a following. You're in a time and age right now where you can just create a band profile and send it to newspapers, TV or radio along with the song, and they might actually consider going, these guys sound impressive, let's play their stuff. That was not how it was. So there are a lot of advantages and benefits now. But guys, here's the thing. Don't compromise or take shortcuts or cut corners. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's why I use the Mantle God example. It's easy to get ahead of yourself and be excited thinking I'm doing something great. All my friends, my girlfriends, should be one girlfriend in an ideal world, okay?
No.
Oh, in an unideal world. Not so ideal world. But it's not like that. You just have to take your time, bide your time, because see, remember, we are in a time and age right now where everyone's interconnected. Everything is instantaneous at flick of a finger, edge of our fingertips, at the crux of our hands. It's not like how it used to be. And we need to be careful that there's so much of saturation. Listen, I did research and I found out that there are 1 million songs legitimately released, guys, every week. Every week. 1 million. And this is through Nielsen SoundScan, where this is only the shit that's monitored. This is not the Sri Lankan bands, the Indian bands, Singaporean, Indonesian, Malaysian, Cambodian, Vietnamese.
Don't pound.
all those guys, right? I'm talking about the signed bands through labels who have backing. 1 million songs a week are released. And those 1 million songs, those artists are battling and fighting to gain popularity. To appear on the charts, to end up getting tours, getting record deals. So think, guys, moderately out of that leaving that 1 million aside, how many millions are there that are not signed with record labels, who are releasing quality music, who are underground playing shows, making their due, paving a path. So this is what I mean. We're in a time of mass saturation. There's an influx of music. It's a great time. It's a creative influx. But at the same time,
it means you have to work harder
you have to work harder to make sure that not just ends meet, but to make sure that you make your bones in the industry and you can sustain yourself. You can find stability and solidarity in what you do, and later profitability if you have a sense of longevity. What you do. Sorry, I went all rap there.
Okay. Right.
We didn't even talk marketing. That's the best part.
No, that's fine. I really don't care about talking marketing. This is marketing for me. I don't believe that this is marketing for me, because what he's talking about is
everything against.
No. It is not. It is not, Mother. Eventually, no. Yeah. So I mean, we talk about a lot of technical stuff. Yeah. We our podcast is largely about like very technical stuff, right? This is another thing about marketing, because marketing essentially, music is tremendously, but even marketing essentially is a creative industry.
That's always evolving.
And it's always
evolving.
And you need, I think there is a need for internal passion and hunger to keep it going.
And the metal industry to a standard brand manager is like a wet dream, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Because you have everything flips on its head. It's mostly heavy buyers and then very few light buyers. It doesn't have
and the potential potential to increase it.
And even the NPD Machang is very different when it comes to that stage in the product life cycle. it's very different because our PLC is not at all like the traditional PLC conventionally. So you can't assess it. I like how this guy's holding up fingers of like 2, 3, 4, 5.
Anyway, I mean, fantastic conversation. It's amazing to see, and it's not only Stigmata, brands like Paranoid Earthling. There are so many there's amazing amount of
Talent here.
Sound coming out of Sri Lanka.
That deserves to be heard. That's true.
It's getting bigger and better and more diverse, and it was a great conversation. It was great to hear the process, and I think we can talk for hours on this. But thanks for the time.
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
Thanks for the drink. And 20 years.
Thank you for the drink. What are you talking about? Why are we
20
speaking
years.
parables?
20 years, guys.
20 years next year.
Yeah. We will be there to watch you. Good night.
Oh, you better, motherfucker.